All forms of media have their teenager phase, where no matter what they produce, people just can't attach themselves to it. This hasn't been more true than with Ninjago Skybound, Day of the Departed, and The Hands of Time. During the production of Skybound, the LEGO Ninjago movie was being worked on, slated to come out September 23rd, 2016. However, this movie had to be delayed and was replaced by Storks. I think it was a fair trade. To fill the void, Willfilm, the people who previously made Ninjago, had to come up with something, so they rushed out Day of the Departed and The Hands of Time. Truth be told, the stories they tell aren't that bad. Holier than Swiss cheese, yes, but not bad. I've seen the Mario movie in Quantumania. I know bad. However, this animation cannot be saved. It is so unpolished, so unfinished, so rushed. I'm sorry. I'm 100% supporter of The Hands of Time. But you really can't save this. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I briefly touch on this next point in my LEGO Ninjago movie video. But the LEGO Ninjago movie originally had a very different plot, having the ninja go back in time in an attempt to prevent Garmadon from being bitten by the Great Devourer. I still stand by my point that this would make a great movie. However, this movie idea was scrapped, causing the LEGO Ninjago movie to be rewritten in its entirety. This led to Willfilm filling that void with Day of the Departed and The Hands of Time. See how it all comes full circle? The initial idea for the original LEGO Ninjago movie was slowly morphed into The Hands of Time, using concept art from the LEGO Ninjago movie's scrapped plot. Side note, in the LEGO Ninjago movie set, the Temple of the Ultimate Weapon, you can see a Snake Warrior statue reminiscent of the original villains from the LEGO Ninjago movie. Due to this fact, the statue bears a striking resemblance to the goons from The Hands of Time, the Vermilion Warriors.
Vermilion Warriors? Really? That's what they're called?
That about wraps it up for a preface to The Hands of Time. But before we jump in, I'd like to introduce our very first co-hosts on the channel. Friends of the internet and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is Aaron.
Hey y'all, Aaron here. Sorry Colt, I took your intro.
Yeah, don't get ahead of yourself. And now, friends of the internet, as well as ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is LEGO Ninjago, Masters of Spinjitzu, The Hands of Time.
Previously on Ninjago.
Acronics and Crux? The Hands of Time? I've encountered one of you before. You met my father?
Episode 65, The Hands of Time.
Our story takes place the morning right after Day of the Departed, where Colt became a human again. In his new human form, though, he has a new ability, where his hands glow on the side. Why do they glow? Enter Kai and Nia, the mascot ninja for this season. This season is the only season where two ninja are the mascot ninja, this season being one of 2 times Nia was a mascot. We're getting off topic. As the ninja help clean up the mess they left the previous night, we get Nia saying this.
If I could go back in time, I'd tell Dr. Saunders we were too busy to help.
Okay, let's talk about it. Most of the dialogue here is so forced and bad. The line said previously was not the worst, but then you realize that's because this line exists.
You know what they say, fight fire with time. I hate when you make up sayings.
Eventually, Kai and Nia stumble upon a painting of their parents. Here, Kai reminds the audience, Nia, that their parents left for a reason so important they...
Guys, look what I found.
The ninja have found a painting. This one is big. Dr. Sandra Saunders, resident museum operator / history expert, elaborates on the art.
What's this painting?
Oh, this? Nothing. Minor skirmish, no historical significance. That is why I don't hang it in the main gallery.
It looks pretty significant to me. This thing is huge.
Yes, a huge myth. The folklores.
Even if it is a myth, who are these men Masters Wu and Garmadon supposed to be fighting? I have no data on them.
There is a legend. Twin brothers called the Hands of Time.
The Hands of Time.
They could allegedly manipulate time itself. Speed it up, slow it down, all sorts of things. See what I mean? Manipulate time? A ridiculous fairy tale.
Who's this one?
Oh, this handsome-looking fellow? Well, the legend says his name is Crux.
And who is the nasty-looking guy?
In the stories, he's called Acronix.
Hey, speaking of the Hands of Time, where is Master Wu? Well, he's at the Burnt Monastery from Season 1 of the show. For a season that was rushed, they really knew what they were doing with the story. From the sky emerges a mystery villain, and after some witty banter between the two, they begin to battle in one of the best fights this side of the Oni trilogy. Thanks to Dr. Saunders' explanation, we know full well that our mystery villain is none other than Acronix, one of the Hands of Time. This serves as no problem for Wu though, for he easily wins the fight with almost half a century of experience more than the Hand of Time Acronix. However, the fight isn't over yet. From the sky falls a green object in a similar fashion as Acronix. This object, when it hits the floor, causes time to skip an entire minute. Our ninja, having just finished at the museum, are ready to go.
What just happened? Time just moved forward?
Something tells me we ain't done yet. After figuring out that there was a temporal disturbance at the old monastery,
It means time.
they hightail it there, which is great news for Wu, who is severely losing the fight now that Acronix has a weapon more powerful than anything conceived, the Time Stone. Wow, your age is really catching up to you, huh? Wu is left on a cliffhanger, and right before Acronix flees, the ninja arrive, Jay being the one to make the first move. Now's a great time to mention how much development the ninja get. Not so much Jay, but he still has development. He's funnier than the last season.
How about pinpointing the location of the off button? These alarms are giving me a... Hey! Thank you. Zane's probably malfunctioning.
Self-diagnostic indicates negative.
How about now? Well, maybe it's like, you know, a harmless massive energy displacement.
That box was not empty.
Mr. Cuddly Wump. Let's run straight at each other and see if this will slow us down before we collide. Anyone here know how to design, construct, and independently power a 200-foot industrial-grade cargo elevator in 3 minutes?
Did you just speak? No?
Okay, that time I did. Why don't you tell us who's really under there?
No.
Would a tenner change your mind?
No.
What about a piece of candy?
No.
What about 2 pieces of candy?
No.
That's right, I said it. Jay's funnier in the Hands of Time than anywhere else in the show. The others get moments to shine as well. Cole is trying to master a new ability that he's named the Earth Punch. Zane is trying to cope with Pixel being offline after dying for the 70,000th time.
The treadmill was invented in 1818.
However, the ones that get the most room to shine are Wu, Lloyd, Nia, and Kai. Wu feels guilty for many reasons, but mainly for choosing to fight Acronix alone, which renders him useless for much of the season. Lloyd is trying to fill the role Master Wu left behind, but soon learns this is easier said than done. He also feels partially responsible for Wu being captured later in the season. Nia is trying to let go of being Samurai X, despite being perfectly fine in the previous season. However, her letting go is interrupted when someone steals her Samurai X armor to become the new Samurai X. Finally, Kai recognizes a symbol on the inside of the Vermilion's helmet. I promise this is important, but put a pin in that.
What I'm going to be talking about is mostly the characters that were involved in the season, because, I don't know, I just like the characters more than I like the plot. I'm going to be talking about Crux and Acronix first. You know, the main villains, the whole reason we have all of this.
We are changing time itself. I present to you... the Four Watch!
And this.
Stop stalling!
Or your time may run out.
And don't forget this.
We always knew the time would come.
Yeah, I get it. They're elemental masters of time. I know the season is named Hands of Time, but do you need so many time puns? I get it, man. I could really say I don't have the time to listen to those. So overall, I really did like their characters. I'll give them a solid 8 out of 10, you know, because they actually had a plan. Or at least, you know, Crux did. Chronix is kind of just there. But they did have a plan, and they followed through with it. They actually got a lot closer than a lot of the villains most of the time, you know? Although I do have a complaint about the whole reason they want to control the world, because, you know, the famous line that they have said throughout the season. Yeah. It's just that whole thing is just so cliche, because there's probably millions of TV shows out there. I can't name any right now, but I know I've heard it for a fact, that there's always a villain that has so much power. They're like, I gotta rule the world, obviously. Like, I mean, yeah, I get it. I mean, if you have that much power, you feel entitled to rule the world or something. I don't know. You do you. But it's so overused, man. I feel like they could have had more, like, depth with that, you know? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Overall, I also did like their dynamic as well. They remind me so much of me and my brother. And we're also twins. I think that's pretty funny. They were just so accurate to how siblings actually interact with each other, you know? They're always like, this thing is better. No, this thing is better. I just think it's funny because it just reminded me so much of me and my brother. So, you know, they get a point on that for accuracy. Also, the background music they had was so good. Like, Colt, play a little snip of it right now. You cannot tell me that is not a banger, man. Like, come on, man. That is so good. Like, that is like the best background music I've ever heard. So besides Crux and Chronix, we do have some side villains. You know, obviously they're henchmen that are helping them. We have Ragmonk and Blunk, and obviously it's pretty easy to tell. Those two are just here for the comic relief, man. You cannot tell me that these two were the best out of maybe thousands or 10,000s or millions that Crux had. No way, man. No way. But, you know, they did bicker like siblings, and that reminded me of me and my brother. So, you know, they get a point for that, because I think it was just funny that a lot of the villains had a sibling dynamic. I think it's funny, personally. Also, another side villain was Commander Machia, and oh my god, they did not do her justice, man. Like, come on. She was so helpful to Crux and Chronix's plan. And at the end, when they were like, I don't know, going on their little time machine or whatever, when they were getting on their little time machine, they were like, oh, I'm ready. Let's go rule the world, brother. And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna go too, right? Right? No, they betray her and are like, you're not coming with us. Nuh-uh. Like, I was so upset. Because she did so much to help with the plans. Like, she had all these backup plans in case anything failed. And most of the time, things did fail. And she came in clutch and got the time blades and made sure everything was on point. I am so upset that they betrayed her in the end, man. Like, Commander Machia deserved more than that. She was honestly the whole reason why Crux and Chronix got to the point they were. That is what I believe, man.
After the fight with the Chronix, who won despite being outnumbered, the ninja begin to question Wu, who tells them what I'm about to tell you. After the Serpentine Wars, two twin elemental masters believe themselves to be more powerful than anything, entitling them to rule Ninjago. Because why not? The brothers have a combined total of 4 time-based abilities: forwarding time, slowing time, stopping time, and reversing time. All of the elemental masters combined couldn't stop them, so they entrust masters of fire and water to forge special weapons. Hey, they look familiar. They forge blades out of chrono steel, which has the ability to absorb elemental power. Why this metal was never used before or after the season is beyond me. And don't even think about asking me why the blades didn't absorb Maya and Ray's powers, because I don't know. After another great fight, Chronix and his brother Crux were stripped of their powers. Knowing the danger of the blades, Wu and Garmadon sent the blades through a temporal vortex, hoping they are lost to time. Crux and Chronix, however, didn't want to lose the blades, so they chase after them, therefore losing themselves in time. At that exact moment, Wu saw a blimp in the temporal vortex, presumably with the date in Ninjago to when Chronix would return, which was why Wu knew when Chronix would return. I can do this all day, with me carefully dissecting each episode, pointing out every animation mistake, and laughing at Jay being my favorite character. But I have more important things to do. After all, those arsons won't commit themselves. Therefore, we'll speedrun through the rest of this season. It turns out, Dr. Saunders is the second time twin, Crux. He was spat out of time shortly after he was lost to time, as well as the reversal time blade. However, Crux didn't notice it falling to the ground. Since then, he's been plotting his revenge like the sorest of losers since ever. This next point was a big plot twist for the season, but it'd be best to tell you now, right after this short tangent. Am I the only one who sees all the subversion of expectations in Ninjago? We've got the classic Green Ninja reveal, but there's also a whole lot more. Spoilers for the past 12 years of LEGO Ninjas ahead. You've got Zane's many deaths, Nia's death and disappearance, Cole's supposed death, Kurumi's true colors, Vangelis and his evil skull, Skylar being Chen's daughter, Jay's near-death experiences, Cole's ghostification. I can go on forever. Anyways, as a part of his revenge, Crux kidnaps Ray and Maya, forcing them to make armor, weapons, etc. for the hands of time.
I just want to say this as nicely as I can. Their parents are stupid. Okay? Look, listen. They were elemental masters of fire and water. And when Crux came over and was like, oh, come work for me, or I don't know, I'll use this knife that's behind my back that you didn't notice earlier, even though it's twice my body height. Like, bro, they're elemental masters. And the whole reason that they couldn't fight Crux and Chronix before was because they had their powers and they were too powerful for everyone. But Crux, he's just an old man at that point. He's just old. Or, I don't know, semi-old. I don't know how old he was. But he's just an old man at that point. You're telling me two retired elemental masters couldn't have beaten him up? Or, I don't know, taken him to jail or whatever? Like, I'm pretty sure they had more options instead of just this. Come work for me. Oh, well, okay. Bye, son. Have fun raising your sister all by yourself. We're just gonna go and make armor for this guy and never try to escape for I don't know how long they had him in there for, like, I don't know. How old is Kai and Nia? They're like 18, right? 19? I don't know. I'm gonna say 19 years. 19 years they were in, I don't know, that little cave or whatever. And they didn't try escaping once. There was probably 1,000 different ways for them to escape or, I don't know, handle the situation. I don't know. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it.
As a cry for help, Ray stamps each helmet with his signature symbol in hopes someone will come and rescue them. He could have just, I don't know, stamped a message calling for help inside the helmet along with a location. Just saying. However, Kai doesn't see it like that. Instead, he sees his father as a traitor. Taking this approach is much more believable, considering that seeing his father's branding on the vermilion helmet shouldn't spark the kind of response Ray was hoping for. Regardless, they make up and reunite with their mother as well. I love how Ray is voiced by Vince Tong, the voice actor for Kai, but Maya is voiced by a completely different actor, Lloyd's voice actor. It's just weird to me. Ray and Maya decide to tell Kai and Nia that Crux and the Chronix won't find the reversal blade, because they hid it in the boiling sea. Now, I want to know if this is possible. Someone get film theory on the line. Oh hi, when did you get here?
Could force you to retrieve it for us? Excellent suggestion.
No way! We will never do your bidding!
You tell him, brother!
You will. Or your parents will face the very fate from which they try to protect you.
Never! We're done serving you, Crux. Bring your worst.
With pleasure.
Ray!
Look who I found.
Master!
Whoa.
Technically...
Things aren't looking too bright for the other ninja either. They were able to save Cyrus Borg, but they had to go back to the heart of the whole project to disable the Iron Doom. What is the Iron Doom, other than a very marketable toy? It's basically a time machine that Cyrus helped build. But hey, it wasn't his fault. The bad guys just kinda took him. Cyrus doesn't remember the Wi-Fi password to turn it off, so the Nia have to fight off literal waves of regenerating warriors. This whole problem could have been avoided if he just installed a self-destruct button. Or, better yet, disguise the self-destruct button as the button to turn on the Iron Doom. Just saying! Going back to Kai and Nia, they have retrieved the final Time Blade, and it only took one episode. The Time Twins, being actually competent villains, leave the Smiths, yes that is their last name, probably, stranded at the boiling sea. Just kidding, Kai and Nia use El Dragon Blade to create a dragon, which will take them back to the Time Twins' lair.
Meanwhile, in a parallel universe where the letter M doesn't exist.
Cyrus remembers the Wi-Fi password and begins to input all 1,300 numbers. Again, with a single button, you could have just... Oh yeah, there's a new Samurai X. So... the person that stole her armor made it cooler and is helping the ninja, but refuses to reveal their identity. Oh no, who could it be? It's Pixel. Anyways, the ninja fail and the Iron Doom becomes operational. As the Iron Doom goes through a time vortex, Kai, Nia, and Wu sneak into the vortex and, by proxy, the Iron Doom. What is the Time Twins' plan? To rule all of time. How? Well, the idea is to go back in time 40 years when they lost against the Elemental Masters and give themselves a second shot. When they arrive, they absolutely mop the floor with the Elemental Masters. Eventually, young Wu surrenders, and the future begins to change. Meanwhile, Kai and Nia try to get the reversal blade to save Wu and Rei. Cause remember, he got hit with the time. The blade is stuck in its place though. By then they notice Wu's surrender. The Time Twins have forced their hands. Kai and Nia have joined the battle. Posing as their parents, they both inform the Elemental Masters on how to beat the Vermilion. The tides are turning in their favor, but not for long. The Time Twins call back the Vermilion and kill Commander Machia, Blanc, and Ragmonk. I understand Blanc and Ragmonk, but why Machia? Seriously, why? The Time Twins' new plan is to travel 200 years into the future because the ninja won't be alive then. Now, the original ending was supposed to begin here, which I'll explain right now. Kai and Nia overhear the Time Twins talk about their plan, and then realize they have 200 years to prepare for the arrival. When the Time Twins arrive to the future, they're locked in an invisible barrier made of chrono steel. They are trapped. Then emerges the ninja, aged up to where they are all old and bearded, but not dead. Then the ninja explained that Kai used the reversal blade to slow their travel, causing them to travel only 40 years instead of 200. Okay, so that explains why they're still alive. But why are they old? The ninja are teenagers, right? So, why are they so old? They should be like 50, or at least 60. Not as old as Wu looks. Wait, Cole isn't with the ninja. Is he dead, or just late because he's eating cake somewhere? I'm not even lying, that's what it says. As a final shot, the ninja walk away from the Time Twins, talking about all the adventures they had had in the last 40 years. This was obviously written as the finale for the show, and even though I don't want this show to end, I feel like this would have been a nice conclusion. Not fitting, or perfect, but nice. This is why people don't ask me about my crystallized thoughts. The actual ending for the show is only slightly different. Wu, Kai, and Nia slip back onto the Iron Doom and begin to fight the Time Twins. Knowing they won't be able to win and get back home at the same time, Wu sends Kai, Nia, and the reversal blade back to the present, to prevent the Time Twins from returning to the present. Or ever, really. Wu destroys the Iron Doom, and is lost in time with the Time Twins. That's right, this season ends on a cliffhanger. This shook me to my core when I first saw it. Like, what? Why? How? And if Wu will return, doesn't that mean the Time Twins will return as well? Probably not, but I want them to.
I really like this season. That's why it's one of my favorites. You know, doesn't come close enough to Skybound, but you know, it's a good second place winner. Anyway, those are all the statements I have to say. I give Hands of Time a 9 out of 10. Pretty good season. I really liked it, except for them betraying Commander Machia. No, I will never let that go.
Overall, I love the season. Sure, the animation is... and the lore has more holes than the spot.
Can you stop talking about your holes? You're making everyone uncomfortable over here. No.
But I thought it was pretty good. Better than The Island. I thought the comedy was spot on, the action scenes were glorious, and the characters were believable and well written. Aaron, any last words?
So...